The following is a presentation of the TDs and Beer Sports Network.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to Week 14, TDs and Bears Fantasy Football. We got a big night of sport in store for you tonight. But first, I'd like to say a big thank you to our new sponsor, Smirnoff Ice. Oh my God, that's so strong. Jim, what the hell? Anyway, sports fans, we got a big night in store for you tonight. We got playoff scenarios. We got the new standings out. Who's in, who's out. We're all looking forward to the playoffs, and this is the time of year that we just can't wait to get into. But first, I have to say a big prayer to our analyst, Wiz Flashman. He will not be with us again tonight. And again, in prayers for his family. Welcome back, sports fans, to the TDs and Beer Sports Network. Like I said, we got lots of great action and sports information for you coming up. So let's not delay. Let's get right into it. And let's get right into it, folks. TDs and Bears, Week 13. Robert's team, 11-2. They clinched last week. Schrockman Gate still looming heavily over their heads, though. Untouchables move up to number 2 this week, 8-5, clinching a playoff spot. As well as Lights Kamara Jackson, also 8-5 and clinching a playoff spot. The Clearview Steelers, 7-6. They pretty much clinched the playoff spot. Jim, can we go and get that money sign up there? They have to be beat by like 150 points or something. What do you mean? Consequently, we're looking for anybody with video or TV experience. Maybe give us a call. Maybe if you're just a hot chick, it doesn't hurt. Anyways, the Doomsday Cowboys are 7-6. The only girlies with the big win last week over Razzle Dazzle move into 7-6 in the playoff spot. And Car Bomb 7-6 also holding strong. The Sluggos football are 6-7. Maybe have a little work to do this week. And they can make the playoffs. But we'll see. And we've got more to tell you. There are some teams that can still get in. Never mind. Razzle Dazzle 6-7. They can get in with a little help, even though they lost to their wife last week, who, as we all know, never mind about that. Double D's Nuts 5-8 still can get in with a lot of help. Zeke and Destroy. Well, they just couldn't overcome the COVID toe this year, and they're 4-9 and allow the playoffs. Lane team could play spoilers this week against the only girlies. And they could also play for pride, as they could beat the Detroit Lions for the NFL's record of 2-10-1 if they win this week. If not, they'll be the worst team in any football league. And more on this. 2021 TDs and Beer playoffs scenarios. Robert's team, as you know, number 1 seed locked in. They've been at the top most of the year, and they could get King Henry back for the playoffs. Very scary. The Untouchables looking at the number 2 seed with a win. Lights Kamar Jackson would have to overscore them by 90 points to overtake that number 2 seed. So if they win, it looks like a number 2 seed. But looking at these scenarios, they could drop to the number 4 seed if they lose. Wins by Kamara Jackson and the Cleveland Steelers, who have a plus 18-point differential over them. And I think that's pretty likely. But anyways, Lights Kamara Jackson, number 2 seed if they win and are lost by the Untouchables. Number 3 seed if they win and win by the Untouchables. This is where it gets interesting, folks. Nightmare scenario. If they lose to the Car Bombs by more than 35 points and Clearview wins, then the Cowboys win and the Girlies win, they draw clear to number 8. Wouldn't that be amazing? Meanwhile, in Clearview, the Steelers could lock in the number 2 seed in best case scenario here with a win and a loss by the Untouchables and Lights Kamara Jackson. Number 3 seed if they win and a loss by one of them. A number 4 seed if they win and wins by both of the 4 mentioned teams. Nightmare scenario, we don't need to get into that. That most likely won't happen. Look at this. This is interesting. Best case scenario for the Cowboys, they could move up to number 3. They'll most likely stay at the 4, 5, 6 seed. Nightmare scenario with the loss. The Car Bombs, the only girly wins. They move to number 7. If Sluggo Football wins and outscores the Cowboys by 35 minutes already, and if Razzle Dazzle wins and outscores the Cowboys by 59 points around the playoff. Oh my God, folks. How good could this get? Only girlies. They could move up to number 3. They're looking at number 6, 7 seed. You look at the scenarios here. Nightmare scenario, they could be out, but due to that big win over their husband, Razzle Dazzle, last week, they're most likely going to stick around that 6 or 7 seed. And, I mean, you look at these scenarios, and they're all if and that, but here we go with the Car Bombs. With a win over Lights Kamar Jackson by 36 points, loss to Clearview Show, and highly unlikely they could move up to number 3. Nightmare scenario, they lose, and Sluggo's Footballers wins but outscores them by 5, and Razzle Dazzle outscores them by 28. They're out of the playoffs. So again, another huge game for the Car Bombs. Sluggo's Footballers, they're down on the bottom, looking at the 7th seed. They could move up to 5 if a scenario, best case scenario, happens. Or look at the nightmare scenario here. They could be out of the playoffs. Razzle Dazzle, meanwhile, can sneak into the playoffs with a win and a loss by Sluggo's Footballers. Or if they outscore Sluggos by 24 points. Doubles these nuts also could sneak in if they win and a loss by Sluggos and Razzle Dazzle. What a great week, folks. I can't wait to see more. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. There's a lot of action upcoming. The playoffs are looming. You know, folks, I try to stay unbiased as a sports reporter. But if I had to make a pick this year, I would have to say the Clearview Steelers hold a pretty good chance of winning it all. But we'll see where the action takes us. And that's all we can do as sports fans. Anyways, good night, everybody. Again, our prayers go out to Wiz Flashman and his family. Hope for a speedy recovery. And here we go. I'm sorry. Good night. Good night.
This has been a presentation of the TDs and Beer Sports Network.